So you think that 20 years on, it's okay for him to go back into a ring? Even against Jake Paul, it doesn't matter. Like, Jake Paul, as limited as he is, he can punch. He's, what is he, 26?
One thing's for sure, it's going to get record viewing because people will buy into it, rightly or wrongly. You know, it's like a car crash, as I said at the start of this. People slow down on the motorway to see what's happening.
Critics blast Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight, calling it a spectacle that risks boxing's legacy. Eddie Hearn reflects on Mike Tyson's condition, noting that Tyson was already shot when he retired 2 decades ago. He finds it inappropriate for Tyson, now significantly older, to return to the ring, especially against a much younger and less experienced opponent like Jake Paul. Hearn feels that such a match could detract from Tyson's legacy rather than honor it.
I don't want to watch one of my all-time favourite fighters, one of my heroes, I guess, in a boxing ring at 55 years of age, physically a shell of what he once was. I'm not saying abandon the fight. I'm just going, not for me, mate. I don't want to watch it.
Spencer Oliver shares that Tyson could handle Paul despite the age gap. Having trained with Tyson recently, Oliver is confident Tyson still has the strength and agility to face Paul in the ring. He suggests that Tyson's seasoned experience could play a vital role in his favor, providing him with an edge even at his age.
I was with Roy Jones last week.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah,
actually.
and Roy was saying, listen, it doesn't matter what shape Mike's in. Mike will get himself in some sort of shape to be able to deal with this kid. He's convinced it happens, and like Mike can choose his time whenever he wants, and it'll be that easy. Wow. He said, I shared a ring with him a couple of years ago, and trust me, he can still whack. He's still dangerous, and he'll still have way too much for Jake Paul, so...
I agree.
Dana White accuses Jake Paul of spreading lies about him, dismissing Paul's accusations as irrelevant. White notes that while Paul enjoys stirring up drama, he himself only responds when asked and doesn't let Paul's antics affect him. White's focus remains on the integrity of the UFC, which he feels Paul's matches lack.
It's not that I don't hate Jake Paul. Jake Paul's doing his thing. He's out there. He went out and lied and said that I said I would sign Mike Perry if he beat him. I've been trying to assassinate him. You haven't heard me say about Jake Paul. And the only time I ever talk about Jake Paul is if I'm asked about him. He just brought him up.
I have a great question.
I wouldn't have brought him up, right? And he went out and lied and said that I said all this shit, and it's the furthest thing from the truth.
Eddie Hearn clarifies his stance, emphasizing that his concerns aren't personal toward Jake Paul. He appreciates Paul's commitment to the sport of boxing, recognizing his dedication. However, Hearn feels Paul should seek opponents closer to his age out of respect for Tyson's legacy and the sport's long-standing traditions.
Can I ask you though, is it hatred towards Jake Paul? Because I know there is a lawsuit going on.
Yeah, but that's his problem, not mine. I can't, Jake Paul, good for the boxing. Definitely. He's training, he's sparring, he's dedicating himself to the sport. But fight a fighter. Don't fight a 55-year-old man who's shot and used to be one of the greatest fighters of all time. It's a circus.
Dana White argues that the UFC's competitive standards are worlds apart from Jake Paul's style. He believes Paul lacks the skills necessary to compete at a UFC level, and that fighters like Alex Pereira would easily outmatch him. White dismisses the idea of allowing Paul to participate, viewing it as unfit for the sport.
What we do in the UFC is the best in the world fight the best. That's what we do, you know? What Jake Paul and those guys do is completely different. And again, the kid's doing his thing. I'm not on him. And listen, if smaller, older guys want to fight him, then they're doing their thing. Who am I to say?
He did say though that the guy Chama, who's Chama?
Alex Pereira. Do you think that would fight?
I know it's dumb, but Pereira would kill him. Pereira would kill Jake Paul.
Pereira.
Who?
Alex
Pereira.
Oh my God, exactly. It'd be murder.
You think
That's
that
what I
fight would
told
happen?
Jake
Well,
yesterday. Murder.
What else I was saying about Dana too is like the
But
boxing.
how's that fight possibly going to happen?
I
That's just
wonder
not going to happen.
The commission would even let that fight happen.
That's how
I mean,
bad
you're
it would be.
talking boxing or UFC?
Boxing. He's
He'd
talking
kick
about boxing.
his head to another planet. It would be...
Gilbert Arenas raises concerns about the fight, particularly for Jake Paul's safety. He points out that Tyson's punches, even at 57, likely remain much stronger than Paul's. Arenas feels a single punch from Tyson could be dangerous, warning that Tyson's natural reflexes and experience could surprise the younger Paul.
I hope there's some stipulations into that clause. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that there's rules that protects Jake Paul. Because, yeah, he's 57. But is he? Is he? Is he really 57? Punching power? Is this punching power 57? No. Right? One, he probably hits 3 times harder than Jake Paul can possibly ever hit. Right? I will hope Jake Paul is on some type of steroid. I will hope. Not to punch back Tyson. That's gonna work.
Frank Warren voices concern about Tyson's return to boxing, noting that the sport isn't intended for someone nearing 60. He acknowledges Jake Paul's talent as a promoter, but questions the wisdom of Tyson's decision. Warren feels that Tyson's comeback could risk his legacy rather than add to it, given his age.
Made my opinion made. I don't think people that age should be fighting, but as long as he's medically fit and he's found fit to box, that's his choice. You know, and Jake, I've got a lot of respect for him, and Nikita, his business partner. They're very shrewd guys, and the fight's on. Whatever I say is not going to make any difference to that. But, you know, boxing's not for 60-year-old guys, that's for sure.
Tyson's coach, Rafael Cordero, expresses confidence in Tyson's form, stating that he's in better shape now than in his 2020 exhibition with Roy Jones Jr. Cordero highlights Tyson's improvements in defense, power, and speed. He believes Tyson's legendary strength could lead to an instant knockout, raising expectations for the fight.
We have 16 days till the fight, so 17 days. So we're good. You're good. We're in the perfect time, we're in the perfect place now. Where's Mike? Put everything together. So mentally, physically, we're excited, man. We're excited. If the fight was next Saturday, you will be ready for it. We talk about Roy. Roy was 4 years ago. Today, Mike is much better than he was when he fought Roy. So 4 years later, with 58, today he's better than 54. So he saw everything right, everything wrong he did, and he fixed it. This is the beauty of the fight. The energy is good, and his energy is good. So.
David Benavidez respects Jake Paul's dedication to training and commitment to boxing, but warns that Tyson remains a formidable opponent. Benavidez points out that many fighters underestimate Tyson's power until they face it firsthand. He suggests that Paul may not fully grasp the challenge Tyson's presence brings to the ring.
You recently stepped in the ring with Jake Paul. You guys seem to be buddy-buddy, man. What do you think it's going to take for that guy to beat a Mike Tyson?
I think Jake Paul, shout out to Jake Paul, he's a great guy. He's very dedicated to his sport, so I think he knows what it takes to be Mike Tyson. But Mike Tyson's always Mike Tyson. Like you said, people don't have a plan until they get punched in the face. So when Mike Tyson does that, I don't know.
Roy Jones Jr. describes the matchup as young lion versus old lion, emphasizing the generational contrast. He believes Tyson's experience and strength might prove too overwhelming for Paul. Jones suggests that if Paul can survive Tyson's early power, he might stand a chance as the fight progresses.
I think it's a great fight, great marketing situation as well, because so many people want to see it because of the young lion and the old lion, you know? So it's a great situation for them. A great situation for fans because it gives him an opportunity. It gives Jake a chance with Mike being as old as he is. You feel me? So I think it's a great opportunity for both fighters, but I still think Mike probably is gonna be a little too much for Jake.
Really? Because I've been hearing that people think Jake, being the young guy, may be too much for Mike. But
if he can get to the late rounds, yes. If he get to the round 4 or 5, maybe yeah. But he has to get out of the first 3 rounds.
Now, you were in there with him, and I think you said after, he still has his strength and his power.
Still got the power. That's why I say Jake has to get out of the first 3 rounds. Get past the first 3 rounds, he got a chance. But the first 3 rounds are going to be devastating.
And if Mike catches them with one shot, is it?
It's over. It's over. If he throws them, yeah.
Cordero praises Tyson for focusing on his improvements in endurance, power, and speed. With Tyson's training at peak levels, Cordero believes his fighter is primed to deliver a thrilling performance on November 15th. He notes that even a single punch could dramatically shift the match.
He's raising his techniques on the train. Better and better every single day. His defense, his power, his speed, his endurance. Today he put everything together, the conditioning, everything that he needs to put a great show on November 15th. The only guarantee that we have, Mike go there to kill or die. He gonna hunt this kid like crazy, and for sure, we just need one touch. If Mike touches his hands, it's over. It's over. Hey man, the proof is gonna be November 15th.
Johnny Nelson shares mixed emotions about Tyson's return to boxing, acknowledging the star power Tyson still holds. He recognizes, however, that Tyson's body might not perform as it once did. Nelson hopes Tyson provides a strong showing, but doubts the likelihood of a knockout victory.
I think it's probably pride and ego more than anything else why these two didn't work together, and probably more on Frank's side than Eddie's side. Eddie will do business with anybody as long as it works for him. So I think it's ego more than anything else. And I understand that Frank's like the old dog and he's thinking, I gotta sit at the same table with you, you're a young pup. So now his ego's had a word with him and think, I've got to go by what I said. I've got to do work with people I don't like so I get the job done.
Eddie Hearn admits that while the event may attract viewers and generate substantial revenue, he views it more as a circus than a serious match. He suggests that boxing enthusiasts who appreciate the sport's history may find the fight unappealing due to its showbiz nature.
So I know it's going to do good numbers and etc. So I wish him all the best, but it's just not for me. It makes me feel a bit sick having to watch that, But people, I guess if you don't love the sport of boxing, then it would appeal to you.
Eddie Hearn expresses his discomfort at the thought of Jake Paul facing a legend like Mike Tyson. Hearn finds the idea disrespectful to the sport of boxing, especially given Tyson's celebrated career. He feels that such a matchup could diminish the dignity of Tyson's legacy.
Do you want to talk about something you've said about Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, and you said, listen, I'm not going to watch that last fight, I'm going to walk out. Why?
Because I think it's just disrespectful to the sport. I don't want to see it. I don't want to watch one of my all-time favourite fighters, one of my heroes, I guess, in a boxing ring at 55 years of age, physically a shell of what he once was.
Sean Omalley acknowledges Jake Paul's commitment to boxing over the past 5 years, crediting him for his dedication. He also points out the notable age difference between Paul and Tyson, which he believes could impact the fight's outcome. O'Malley sees Paul's speed and power as significant advantages, though he feels the match rules may ultimately influence the result.
There's limits to what you can do when his body's been through it. You can't count him out. I just feel like Jake's too locked in, too in it, been in it too long. With in the last 5 years, who's been in it more? I think that matters. And what is he, 30 years younger? I just don't see this ending well for Uncle Mike Tyson.
Think Jake's got the speed factor?
Speed, power. Even at this point, Jake's not a little guy. Jake's a big fella. He's just getting locked in. I think the rule set will play a role. Is it 2 minutes? Is it 4 rounds? Is it what is it gonna be? So I think that'll matter. I don't even know if that'll matter. I think Jake's gonna probably dominate.
Frank Warren likens the fight to a car crash that draws attention despite its questionable nature. He appreciates Jake Paul's promotional skills but remains critical of Tyson, now 58, re-entering the ring. Warren believes Tyson's return may attract viewers, but he worries about the implications for the boxer's health and legacy.
Next weekend, we're seeing Mike Tyson return to the ring. Will you watch?
Of course I will. It's like watching a car crash, isn't it? That's what we do. People do. That's what it is. I really had the greatest respect for Jake and his team. They're really good people. I've worked with them. They are, and they've been a joy to work with. 58-year-old guys fighting. I'm not a big fan of that. Of course, I'm not a big fan of that, and guys at that age should be fighting.
Dana White criticizes Jake Paul for building a career on fighting retired athletes and accuses him of relying on gimmicks to gain fame. White believes Paul's matches lack true substance and don't positively contribute to the sport. He's also dismissive of Paul's accusations, seeing them as irrelevant distractions.
You can't sell pay-per-views, so you do whatever the hell you want to do. I'm ready to roll, buddy. I don't use cocaine. Do you use steroids? Let's do this, Jake.
Darren Bent expresses unease with the idea of Tyson fighting Paul, stating he would rather remember Tyson in his prime. He feels Tyson's exhibition with Roy Jones Jr. maintained respect, but a loss to Paul could lead to unnecessary boasting from the younger fighter. Bent wishes the bout were an exhibition instead.
No, I'm uncomfortable with this fight. Do you know what it is? Because I want to remember Tyson as the way we remember him. I know he had we spoke about it earlier, a few duds at the end of his career, but Like even that exhibition against Roy Jones, it was just nice to see two greats go at it, but have that mutual respect where they weren't going to try and take each other's head off. In this one here, my biggest fear is that we love Iron Mike and he gets beat by Jake Paul, and then Jake Paul just doesn't shut up about it.
Yeah,
and that's going to annoy me because I'm like, we haven't beat Mike Tyson, well, I have beat Tyson
in a professional fight.
Yeah, and it isn't a fight. I wish it was just an exhibition. I think that's what's put me off.
Do you think there's any part of Mike Tyson that will hold back?
It depends. I mean, if he drops him a couple of times in the first or the second, he might just go, do you know what, I could destroy this kid, so let me just ease back a little bit.
Brendan Schaub offers a unique perspective, outlining various scenarios for the fight. He considers the potential outcomes if Tyson or Paul were to lose, or if the match ended with no decision. Schaub highlights the commercial aspects, noting that a no decision could affect the fight's overall success as a business venture.
I love Mike Tyson, love Jake. I hope it crushes, but for the life of me, I cannot figure out the upside to this. Let's go through the scenario here. If you're Jake, so you knock him out, horrible, dude. What the f? You just beat up an old man. You get knocked out. They told you this guy's a joke. You get beat up by a 58-year-old. The third scenario here is it goes to decision. That's a disaster and nobody's coming back. That's a disaster business-wise for Netflix. It's a disaster for Jake Paul. What? Went to decision with 58-year-old Mike Tyson. The only person who wins is not Netflix, not Jake Paul. Mike Tyson wins. He can do no wrong. He gets knocked out. He's 58. Still getting paid. He beats Jake Paul. Yeah, all the old guys are like, yeah, daddy. Goes to decision, Mike Tyson wins. For Netflix, dude, I don't know. Let's say Mike Tyson wins. What are you going to do? What's next? Mike Tyson and then Logan Paul to revenge his brother? And then Mike Tyson KSI? That's the business model? Okay.
Dana White points out the vast differences between Jake Paul's style and the UFC's competitive standards. He believes Paul's hype is unfit for the mixed martial arts world and that his approach wouldn't succeed in UFC. White maintains that Paul's antics may work for boxing, but UFC requires a different level of skill.
What we do in the UFC is the best in the world fight the best. That's what we do, you know? What Jake Paul and those guys do is completely different. And again, the kid's doing his thing. I'm not on him. And listen, if smaller, older guys want to fight him, then they're doing their thing. Who am I to say?
He did say though that the guy Chama, who's Chama?
Alex Pereira. Do you think that would fight?
I know it's dumb, but Pereira would kill him. Pereira would kill Jake Paul.
Pereira.
Who?
Alex
Pereira.
Oh my God, exactly. It'd be murder.
You think
That's
that
why
fight would
I told
happen?
Jake yesterday, murder.
What else I was saying about Dana too is like the boxing.
But how's that fight possibly going to happen?
I
That's just
wonder
not going to happen.
The commission would even let that fight happen.
That's how
and
bad
you're
it would
talking boxing or UFC?
Boxing.
He'd kick his head to another planet. It would be...
Ariel Helwani admits surprise that the Tyson versus Paul fight is actually happening, having initially thought it was merely a promotional stunt. With trailers and posters circulating widely, Helwani acknowledges the fight's growing anticipation in the U.S. He feels the event could have a significant impact if it proceeds as planned.
It's a Friday, not a Saturday, I don't know, but I'm starting to feel now like there's a snowball effect. And now we are 10 days out. As you can see right over there, November 15th on Netflix. If you go on the app right now, you could see, a promotion for it. You can see that there's a countdown show that is going to kick off on November 7th. That's in 2 days. And they're starting to really ramp up the promotion. If you watch, and here it is on Netflix, how it looks if you go on the app right now. If you're watching any sporting event, especially here in the United States, very good chance you're seeing a commercial or some sort of marketing for the fight, which is interesting. Now they're starting to really ramp things up around the major hubs in America. I've seen this courtesy of MVP co-founders Nikisa Badarian's Instagram page. In Atlanta, you're seeing billboards all over the place. You're seeing stuff like this.
Bernard Hopkins, a former boxing champion, shares his reservations about the upcoming match. He respects Tyson as a legend and feels that Paul's presence in the ring doesn't align with Tyson's iconic status. Hopkins worries that the bout could diminish Tyson's legacy by placing him against a much younger, less experienced opponent.
I don't like it.
Is it because of the...
Jay, I look at Mike, I look at him different.
Evander Holyfield expresses concerns over Jake Paul's ability to withstand Tyson's powerful punches. Holyfield suggests that Paul could have a chance if he stays close and prevents Tyson from unleashing his combinations. He feels the fight will reveal Paul's resilience against a seasoned boxer like Tyson.
I don't know. It's all depending on how Jake fight, you know. The point of the matter is, do Jake Paul take a good shot? I never seen him get hit by nobody.
Eddie Hearn acknowledges Jake Paul's physical advantages, particularly due to his youth, but feels that a matchup against a 55-year-old Tyson doesn't sit right. Hearn clarifies that his stance isn't rooted in personal dislike. Rather, it's a matter of respect for Tyson's career and the sport of boxing itself.
So, like, when he finished boxing 20 years ago, he was shot. Agreed? Like, you don't, I mean, I know you don't upset anyone, but everyone agrees with that. So you think that 20 years on, it's okay for him to go back into a ring? Even against Jake Paul, it doesn't matter. Like, Jake Paul, as limited as he is, he can punch. He's, what is he, 26?
Oscar De La Hoya is rooting for Tyson, believing that one solid punch could end the match for Jake Paul. He admires Tyson's legendary power and sees it as the deciding factor. De La Hoya hopes Tyson puts Paul in his place and shows that experience can still triumph over youth.
Jake Paul, I guess he gained a lot of muscle lately. He's gonna be strong up there, so just be careful, Tyson. But then again, Mike Tyson landing one punch, he can end it all in one round.
Former UFC fighter Jorge Masvidal shares his concerns about Tyson's safety, particularly given the age difference. While he respects Tyson's strength and experience, Masvidal believes that the fight's outcome is difficult to predict. He refrains from making any specific predictions, acknowledging the many unknowns that could influence the match.
Man, I don't know, bro. I don't know, man, about that fight. It's just so hard to call it. You know, I don't know Mike's, he's 60 years old, right? Something like that. Like, damn, that's an old ass dude, bro. You know, and I'm not trying to rank on Jake, because if you're getting the bag for it, you know, what could you do? It's just, I heard it's with 16 ounces, then I heard it's not with, I don't know, there's so many things going on with it. I don't know what to say if it's an exhibition.
Lennox Lewis expresses doubts about whether Tyson can still absorb punches and maintain agility in the ring at his current age. Despite these concerns, Lewis has confidence that Tyson's experience and strength could still allow him to dominate the fight. He sees Tyson as an iconic figure whose skills have left a lasting mark on the sport. Lewis hopes Tyson's legacy remains intact, regardless of the outcome.
It's a task. You know, it's hard to box at when you're that old, moving around the ring, throwing punches, getting punches thrown at you. But I think he can handle it.
Tyron Woodley maintains a neutral stance on the fight's outcome, believing that both Tyson and Paul have the potential to deliver an impressive performance. He points out the generational gap in their fan bases, noting that each fighter appeals to a different era. Woodley anticipates that this dynamic will create excitement on both sides, drawing in fans from multiple generations. He expects a lively showdown, regardless of who ultimately wins.
And you know what? I'm glad I don't have to. Like, sometimes when I commentate, sometimes when I analyze, I gotta have a strong who I think should win. But I'm gonna watch and I'm gonna see who's gonna win. They're gonna go out there and do the work.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more updates. Let us know your thoughts on the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight in the comments below. Do you think it's good for boxing or a step too far? See you in the next one.